Hi, welcome to FW551, Design of Fish and Wildlife Studies. My name is Luke George and I'm going to be the instructor for the course this semester. In this lecture, I'm going to just provide a brief overview of the material that we'll be covering, talk about the time commitment that I expect from all of you for the course, give you a little background on myself, review the grading criteria, and go over the organization of the course website on Canvas. The general outline of the course is we're going to explore experimental and non-experimental approaches to the design of fish and wildlife studies, and we'll also focus on how to interpret studies in the scientific literature. General outline is to focus first on basic concepts in experimental design, move on to discussion of sampling design, move then into discussing the various types of experimental designs and where they should be applied. Then we'll also talk a fair amount about non-experimental approaches to acquiring knowledge, since that's an important part of our field. And we'll also touch on various kinds of approaches that are somewhat specific to our area, such as quasi-experiments, impact studies, adaptive resource management, and then some other broader issues that really affect all kinds of scientific studies, and those are meta-analyses and replication of previous studies. As far as the expectations go, generally the expectation is that students will spend about 10 to 12 hours a week on a 3-unit graduate course, and I would think that would be a pretty good ballpark figure. And that includes reviewing the lectures, doing the readings, participating in discussions, and completing assignments and exams. There is a lot of reading. There's a fair amount thrown at you every week, so I think it's very important to keep up with the material in the class. If you miss a deadline, I'm not going to generally allow to make that up, so you definitely want to keep track of your deadlines for all your assignments and get them done on time. And especially as part of the discussions, to really contribute in a meaningful way, you really have to remain current with the readings and the lectures. The grading for the class is pretty straightforward. The contribution of each of the different types of assignments are listed here. So participation, quizzes and discussions is 20%. Assignments, which will mostly be paper evaluations, will be 30%. Midterm exam, 20%, and the final 30%. Grades will be assigned following the general cutoffs, A 90, B 80, and so on. I also will assign plus and minus grades for the upper and lower margins of each one of those groupings. Just a little background on myself. I got my PhD at the University of New Mexico, came up and did a postdoc here at Colorado State University for a short time before being hired in a faculty position at Humboldt State University, where I taught for 21 years. I then retired from that position, moved back here to Fort Collins, and have been involved in various capacities here at Colorado State since 2012, including helping putting the graduate program together that this course is a part of. And for a couple of years during this period, I also was science director at Bird Conservancy of the Rockies. As far as my past teaching experience, most of it has been at Humboldt State University. There, my core courses were ecology of wildlife populations, which focused on population models, conservation biology, ornithology, and a graduate course in parameter estimation. Other courses I taught while at HSU included ANOVA and experimental design, introduction to wildlife, and ecology and management of upland habitats. Since coming to CSU, my focus has primarily been this course, and I taught applied sampling design one time. As I mentioned, I also was helped put together the course list for the Plan C program uh, here at master's program here at CSU. My past research has focused on mostly on birds, but I've worked on small mammals and other groups as well. I did a fair amount of work looking at habitat fragmentation in the western U.S., the effects of forest management, primarily forest thinning and fire, on bird and small mammal communities, and did a fair amount of work on just basic bird demography, factors that influence bird survival and recruitment. Current projects, I'm looking at the ecology and conservation of brown-capped rosy finches, a bird that lives up in the very alpine regions of Colorado with small populations in New Mexico and Wyoming. Also got very involved with conservation and management of grassland birds while at Bird Conservancy, and I'm still continuing some of that work. And most recently, I've started working with some colleagues here at CSU and UC Davis, looking at climate change, how it's affecting bird movements, and how they may be shifting in mountainous areas. The best way to contact me is by email through my Colorado State email address, or you can also contact me via the inbox in Canvas. So just a quick overview of Canvas. Obviously, since you've gotten to this lecture, you know how to get into Canvas and probably navigate yourself around a little bit. Just a quick overview. All of the information that you need for the class can be found in the modules by just clicking on each module as you go along. Got 16 modules corresponding to each of the 16 weeks of the course, the last one, of course, being finals week. And within each module, you're going to have all of the course content, the lectures, reading, discussions, and other assignments that are due that week. So obviously you need to follow along with the modules and make sure you keep up with that. Some of the other links on the Canvas site that are very helpful are the syllabus that will provide you with an overview of the course, the grading policy, issues about plagiarism and so on, and a quick schedule. And there's also other links on the left-hand side of the Canvas page that can be very helpful, like grades, assignments, announcements, ProctorU, and so on. But again, you can get to everything you need through modules. If you want to use the other links to get to other things more directly, you certainly are welcome to do so. As far as the schedule, what I've decided to do this semester is just make all the material for the first half of the course available on the first day of class. That way you'll be able to see all of the readings, all of the assignments, and you can even do the assignments ahead of time if you wish. If you're leaving for a week and you want to get things done, for instance, you can move it up and get it done the week before it's actually assigned in the class. I'm not going to grade it until the week that it's due. Wait for everybody to get theirs submitted, but if you want to submit early, that's fine. Material for the second half of the course will become available after the midterm. You'll see that assignments are generally due on a Thursday or a Sunday of each week. In some cases, I have discussions where I ask you to respond to some prompt that I've provided and then respond to the prompt of another student. I really like this back and forth. And so when I'm doing that, I'll have you respond to the first prompt on Thursday, and then you can go and look at what other students have said about the particular point and respond to them by Sunday. And the deadlines will always be at 11:59 p.m. The due dates for everything are in the syllabus, so you can always check there to make sure you're keeping up with the time of when things are due. And just one final suggestion, if you're not familiar with Canvas, I'd suggest you watch the Canvas course navigation tutorial video. It's kind of a mouthful. I have a link to that on the introduction module. And just point out that this course was developed in cooperation with the Institute for Learning and Teaching here at CSU. They have their own way of kind of setting up the course and laying out course content, so it might be helpful to just take a quick look at that video even if you've had an online course here at CSU before.